We begin as it ended.
Have you ever held the teardrops that have fallen from above as the angels fell to earth in spite of all their pleas and sobs? Do you ever touch the water that is salted from their pain, or the 100 million faces you collected from today? Feel a joy in hoarding all these files away? Have you opened up the contents of a young bride's broken heart? Do you ever hear their cries, or do you steal them in the dark? Have you often dreamed in loneliness, or beckoned by the stars? Must you always follow passion? Must you claim all of the fun? When the teardrop collection you've constructed for no one, will you always break the silence? Will you always take the fall? Mr. Teardrop Collector, do you ever cry at all? Teardrop Collector, my soul deflector.
So funny. I think I just broke the mic too. Ah, crap. Here I was. Hello, everyone. Hi. Hi out there in the world. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. All 21 of you. It's not like I tried to promote this week. I couldn't. Um, so, hi, everyone. Hi. For everyone joining me on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. Oh, JPK Nights on Twitch. Hi. Hi, Wendy, Mai, Edward. Ooh, it's scrolling fast. Mikey, Alfonso, TMT Mixes. Oh my God, I can't keep up with it. It's scrolling pretty fast right now. It always scrolls really fast during the beginning, and I don't know why. I think it's because it's trying to catch up, but I don't have a drink. How dare I not have a drink? Gosh, I'm really screwing this up already. Well, I'll get it during the break because I need it. I need a good one. So, yeah, maybe. TMT says if it's not too late for user requests, I would love to hear Simpleton. I might be able to do it, but I'm not sure because the way that things are set up is a little weird. So I try to get the playlist early, but that is all involved with the story I'm about to tell you. So last week we were having this discussion about Spotify, and I was just going to get to all the juicy bits, the really important stuff, and everything went crazy. First, I lost the internet, which was, it happens. All streamers can lose the internet. It's not it's not like it's impossible to lose the internet. And I have to admit that losing the internet is, it can happen, especially around here because I have not one, but two military bases flanking me. And so if they decide to fly weird stuff, the internet can go out. So I don't, the internet thing is not that big of a deal. What was a big deal, though, was that when we came back, for whatever reason, the computer started to act up, and then my screen went completely black, and I couldn't see anything. And from what I was told, because I haven't watched the last week's thing, everyone could see me, so apparently the cameras and everything were still rolling, but I couldn't see the screen. And I couldn't see anything. Screen was out, and I wound up having to end the stream somewhat early because I think we were on the last half hour or the last 40 minutes. I don't remember. But yeah, it was pretty gnarly. It never came back. I could never get the computer back up and running that night. So I had to get under the desk, open everything up, and between trial and error and all that crap, I found out that the power supply to my monitor burned out. Out of all the weird things that could happen on that particular stream, right? It burned out. So, it was no big deal. I thought, well, the next day I'll go find another one. Guess what? This power supply for this particular monitor, which is, it's a no-name, but it's a really good no-name. I actually really love my monitor. There was only one in the entirety of the United States. There was only one, just one. And I had to order it, and it came from Colorado or something. So it took, I got it basically late last night, early this morning. I installed it and started to get things working because I still had, seriously, the desk was a mess. I don't know if you can see it, but I'll see if I can. Hold on. Maybe through the drone cam you might be able to see it. The studio has changed a little bit because I thought, since I'm going to be under the desk, I might as well rearrange things. So my new machine is to my left, and my MS-20 is now on the right. So easier to, do this kind of stuff. So anyway, I would be digressing and drinking something right now. So since I can't, you must. That is the way this works. But anyway, This is the part where I usually tell you about, stuff coming up and all that stuff. So, quick update. I have shows. And for this, I will use Bandcamp because that seems like the funniest, shilliest way to do this. So, let's see if I can pull it up. Oh, there they are. Towards the screen there, towards the side of that screen there. But anyway, so I have shows coming up. November 26th is going to be at Sam's Burger Joint, San Antonio, Texas. I'm really excited about these two shows because there's new shirts and I have a set that I want to try that's going to be interesting. Can't tell you what the songs are, but it will be interesting. And then November 29th at the Rock House Dive Bar in El Paso. And I believe pretty much that is the end of the gigs for 2025. So I'm kind of sad about that too, actually, because I wasn't ready to just stop playing shows this year. But it is a little on the slow side when it comes to shows. Not gonna lie. So, but I mean, I did some good ones. I'm happy with all the ones that I did do this year. Obviously, I'm like, you know why I'm digressing all the time, right? Because I'm thinking of the drink right now. That's how my brain works. My brain right now, in between trying to talk the news parts of this thing and say hi to everyone, is thinking, you don't have a drink. You don't have a drink. You need your iced tea. You have to get the iced tea. When are you going to get it? When are you going to get it? Soon. Shut up. So, me, shut up. So, yes, I tell myself to shut up all the time. So, sometimes it's deserved. But I'm actually in a pretty good mood because things are going, I think, pretty well in the case, even though it's getting gnarly and complicated. My case is somewhat on hold because of the government shutdown, which is really funny. But yes, it's true. Because I guess some of the court people aren't working and all that. But I did get an interesting piece of news last week that I didn't share, or at least I don't think I shared it. But the Library of Congress, right before everything shut down, had sent me a certificate, yet another one for the recordation of peace being mine. So now I have not one certificate, but two. And that sort of ends this debate as to, who the controlling party of the album was and who was the person that wrote the songs, particularly Living in Oblivion and all that. So all that is settled by the Library of Congress. So with no contest on one of those parties, by the way. So that's kind of good. I think that that's going to settle a lot of weird things with the court thing. So that's a good thing. And I don't have the chat available here, so I'm like trying to see where we are. Oh, Mai says, I still need to order my shirt for the November show. When is the cutoff for that? Actually, the cutoff for that is right the week before the show because I'll just be printing out all the orders and all that right before I leave for the show. And the shirts are already waiting for me in San Antonio. So I can't pack them because they're already there, but I'll be handing them out to whoever gets them pre-ordered and all that good stuff. I should do a link to it again, huh? Maybe before this is over, I'll get the link for that in case some of you guys want that. TMT Mixes says, question, what would it take for you to release back catalog albums on vinyl? Like Hope, Worth, especially Electrodelica. Okay, I'll answer that question because it's a good one. What would it take? Well, it would take two different things to happen. So I'm going to be totally honest with you on this one. There would be two major things that would have to happen for me to do that. Number one, some sort of distribution network where I myself would not have to pack a single record. Because out of all the things that I have to pack by hand, and yes, it sounds like I'm being lazy and diva and all that stuff. Sorry, it's true. Not that I'm lazy. I just don't, I hate, loathe packing records. I loathe it. They warp, they break, too many returns because they're, it's really hard to ship them. So I'd rather have 10 or 20 of them at every single store on earth, and you guys can just go grab them. So that would be the first thing that would have to happen. I would have to have some sort of distribution in place where I don't have to think about it. And that is a sort of costly situation. Mike's got that one right. So yeah, Sage is taking note. Number one, distribution taken care of. Yes. Number two, it involves capital. Worth, for example, is actually both Worth and Hope are very good examples. Hope, when we put it out on vinyl, had to be cut down. Like I had to go in and cut down certain songs to make it fit on a single piece of vinyl. Otherwise, it was going to be 2 pieces of vinyl with about 20 minutes left over of nothing. So if that was the case, for Hope, I would have to make it a 2-album set just so that the songs fit perfectly on the album the way that I would want them. Because like I said, the Russian release was cool, but if you listen to it, there's things missing because they didn't fit. Worth is even more problematic. And I'll get that question out of the way. Worth is more problematic because Worth was designed for a CD. We weren't even thinking about records anymore. So Worth was 100% designed for CDs. All the songs go into each other, which even if I fix that, it's difficult for records because then you can't figure out where the needle goes if you can't see, a definite space between songs. So that kind of ruins the flow of the album. So that's one. And two, it's a lot longer. So what happens is we figured out that Worth would be a 3 record set. And actually, it would have to be a 4 record set because this is what happens. Side A, B, and C are the album, and then you have an entire side D that would be empty. So you could probably put some demos on there or something, but it would still be 4 records. That's a pain, man. I don't know how we could make that happen. The expense of such a record or what it would cost for fans would be pretty bad. So since Sage is on YouTube is taking the information down here, that's number 2. So those 2 things would have to be taken care of. Lots of capital for the packaging because I would want to do it well. I couldn't just do it. And actually, Electrodelica would be even worse because that one does go all the way to the 80th minute, I believe. So again, it would be almost impossible. So I don't think it's going to happen, but one never knows because what could happen is, of course, everything comes in cycles, right? I'm not saying it's an impossible thing, but I've been reading a lot of things about CDs coming back, and it's not hype. It's really true. CDs are also coming back. I guess the Gen Zers are getting into CDs now because they realize that, because you have to understand, these kids are growing up on streaming. They had no idea that you could have a disc that you could burn yourself and put stuff on it. This is weird to me. So CDs are going to come back, and I got a feeling, based on some of the stuff we're going to talk about, there's a good reason why I think they might come back. So anyway, I'm going to play a song. As a matter of fact, it is the Hypocrites' first demo. So I'm going to play that song, go grab my drink, and then I'll be right back, and then we'll get into the whole Spotify thingamajig thing. Whatever thing, yes. Oops.
Let's see those bodies moving. I want to see some dancing, okay?
Wrong song, but it's okay. You can watch this instead.
This song is called Where is Love and Happiness? This is good.
Okay, where is love and happiness? It's here! It's here!
Dang. 1992. Wow. Anyway, that was an accident. I wasn't supposed to play a video. I switched to the wrong camera because obviously. So I didn't tell you what happened. Oh, yeah, I missed part of the story. We're back. I missed part of the story. So when everything came back, I guess for whatever reason, everything was in a state. I swear I don't know how this even happened. Everything was in a state roughly a year ago. So when everything came back on today and I was able to see everything, my mix settings did not recognize anything because all my inputs and outputs were set to the way they were in 2024. So the mic wasn't working, all that stuff, because I swapped out sound cards and stuff. So it was like pointing to things that didn't exist. And on top of that, all my camera settings were all discombobulated. So there's like 2 cameras that aren't working still. So I have to kind of look into that too. So what I think happened last week, if I'm going to be honest, is I think there was a power surge of some sort. And the power surge took out the internet and then killed my monitor and a few other things in here. Luckily, everything else is good. But my MS-20 over here to the left of me, I thought it wasn't working because it has an LED light that tells me when it turns on and off. The LED light doesn't light, but the controller itself is working, which is bizarre. And, you know, a bunch of other things. My tube preamp is completely dead. So it's all these weird things that I have to like kind of figure out in the next week or so. But anyway, now I can drink. It's just iced tea, but it's kind of like a way of me focusing my mind, as it were. So, can everyone hear me okay? Is it just me? Because I sound low to myself, so I can't, I mean, I could turn it up, obviously, but I just want to make sure you guys can hear me okay and everything. And that everything was coming through, music and all that. Because, like I said, it was kind of crazy last week. But anyway, so I'll give you a quick recap of where we were. I was talking about the end of streaming. And by the way, I changed the title because everyone thought I was not going to stream anymore. And I didn't mean it quite like that. I think I'm always going to stream at this point, unless something were to happen where that just becomes not a thing. But I actually like doing it, and I wanna do it better. So this room, look, I'm gonna be honest with you. This room is not conducive to streaming in the way that I would want to do it. It's because, you know, I think much bigger than what we've got. So the room is fine. It's a mastering room, basically. So it's not really designed for much more than a talking head here. But on occasion, as you know, I've done like live show rehearsals in this room and set up the cameras a little different and all that. What I'm hoping for in the future is to have a room where I have everything set up and running all the time. And then I can do like real, like, so people can watch me work basically and see how I do things. Because I think that would be fun to some degree. Manuel says, how many surge protector power strips do you have now? I actually have 3. And they're all like super good. So it's crazy. It didn't register as a power surge, but I believe that that's what happened because it points to that. But honestly, nothing happened. Nothing dimmed. It's almost as if Spotify didn't like the thing I was talking about and zapped me. Can I say that? Is that all right? It's a hypothetical parody. But anyway, so this is what we were talking about. We were talking about the new terms of service now, because now it's 2 weeks old, but we were talking about the terms of service on streaming services now wanting to have access to modify the tracks that you upload, remix them. They want to be able to edit them and or change them. And I can give you a link to the terms of service and you can read it yourself. In fact, here, I'll pull it up. I'll just pull up the terms of service and put it in this. I'll put it in the chat so you guys can peruse it if you like. It's the intellectual property section that is really crazy to me. But basically, I'll read that section again just so we can kind of, go back to what we were talking about there. But it's this part. You hereby grant to Spotify a non-exclusive, transferable, sub-licensable, royalty-free, fully paid, irrevocable, worldwide license to, make note, reproduce, make available, perform and display, translate, modify, create derivative works from, distribute, and otherwise use in any such user content through any medium, whether alone or in combination with other content or materials, in any manner, by any means, method, or technology, whether now known or hereafter created, in connection with the Spotify service. Yeah. Sounds like a lot of legalese, I know. But let me clarify their position on this, because I think that's important too. I think you should know what they think about this, because they're getting a lot of pushback. And now they're coming out to say the following. This is what they said. You might be seeing some misinformation online about a change to Spotify's terms of service and their impact on artists, authors, and creators. These claims are false. These terms of use pertain to Spotify listeners and do not govern Spotify's rights to use artists, podcasters, or creators' creative works. But that doesn't hold water. It doesn't hold water. And maybe it's because I've been working on this case, and maybe it's because I'm very fond of intellectual property. Maybe it's because I want to protect creators from falling into the same effed up traps that I fell into when I was young and stupid and signed stuff that I shouldn't have. But it's not true what they're saying. Because what they're trying to imply is that these terms apply to users of Spotify, not the artists, just the users. But when are the users ever going to upload any sort of music? They're not. They're just going to make playlists. So I can understand that. Of course, I'm an artist. I make playlists. I promote playlists. I encourage fans to make playlists of Abox stuff and all the different bands. I do it all the time. I love making playlists. That's not even close to the idea of, quote, me editing them, making derivative works. Really? I can get the balance right from Depeche Mode and make my own version of it and put it up? I don't think so. But let's go back and read. Non-exclusive, transferable, sub-licensable, royalty-free, fully paid, worldwide license to reproduce, make available, perform and display, translate, modify, especially that one, modify, create derivative works from. So, two things come to mind. And so I want to get into it. Sorry, I lost the chat, so I lost any possible questions that you might have. So, Warren says, geez, that is a broad license. Exactly. It's very broad. And since you're paying attention in particular, Warren, I want to read you this part. Where applicable and to the extent permitted under applicable law, you also agree to waive and to not enforce any moral rights or equivalent rights, such as your right to be identified as the author of any user content, including feedback, and your right to object to derogatory treatment of such user content. Like, what the heck is that? And what does that have anything in the world to do with user accounts? And so, like, I had to think about it. Like, what could it be? So here's a few things that come to mind. And this is what they would probably argue in court. Spotify would say, if you are a user and you upload a cover with a naked lady on it, and that goes against what the artists themselves are about, the artist can't sue or do any kind of suing because, it's just this particular user doing that weird cover and that's not our fault, that kind of stuff. I get that. I get it. Because as a user, I can upload whatever cover I want. However, I still can't modify or make derivative works. Why is that there? And why does it mention all these, quote, new technologies that are coming out? What technologies are they talking about? Do you want to take a guess? We talked about it before on the stream. I brought it up, and it was a big deal. I predicted it. It's happening. The technology they're talking about is the right for, as a user of Spotify, not the artist, but as a user, and they're not going to admit this yet until it's already out. What they're hinting at is that users will be able to do stem separation and then make remixes of their own stuff, of, quote, other people's stuff. And so what's going to happen is you're going to have all these derivative remixes and mashups of different artists. It's going to be something that they don't have to pay royalties on because it's just a user remix. It's just a user type of remix. And so therefore, no royalties due. And this is a way so that the artist will get, again, not that we talked about this last week, I'll say it again. I don't treat Spotify as my source of rent. I don't. If I did, I'd be dead. I don't think that most artists can do that. Only a few can do that. And they're all on major labels. Most of them. I would argue that there was an independent that was actually, quote, living off Spotify royalties. So, Steve Legros says, my son-in-law is finishing law school in May and wants to practice IP copyright law. I'll have him read and give his take on it. Yeah, please do. Because I think there's holes there that were carved out on purpose to be vague. And this is a time in this particular point in history where vague isn't going to work. And we have to make sure that vague doesn't work. Because these AI tools, they're going to be used to steal stuff. They're already being used to steal stuff, but it's just going to get worse. So, it's like Warren saying, yep, AI-based audio tools and avoidance of paying royalties. Right, because it's a free thing for them. They're going to sell ads. So what's going to happen is they're just going to sell adverts. They're going to make money on advertisement on the backs of all those tracks. Manuel says, does Apple iTunes have the same terms and conditions? I have not gone through theirs yet. From what I've been told, though, by a pretty credible source, is that iTunes has not done that yet. That there are some little things that are questionable on their terms of service, but so far they've avoided this. But it's like all things, right? if one of them starts to do it and makes money from it, the others are gonna follow. So I find that, it kind of upset me because I thought, well, I just got freaking distances on there. It took years to get it on Spotify to begin with. My catalog is almost complete now on Spotify, and now I'm actually thinking that I may have to take it down from Spotify. I'm not saying I'm going to take it down from all of them, but Spotify might be the first one to go down, and it's not for any weird political reason, but other than I don't want people to have access to those things without my permission. Now, I know people will do it just to do it, but it gets weirder. It's going to get weirder. So I'm going to play a song, and when we come back, I'll explain how parts of my case are similar to this, because there are some weird stuff going on with my case that directly refer back to this terms of service kind of thing. But anyway, grab your drink, enjoy yourselves. Which one? Yeah, I'll keep the moon up so we can keep chatting while we play. This is Hypocrites, the first demo. Yeah, Warren says, anything box. That certainly sounds like playing both sides of the argument. Someone wants their cake and eat it too. Yeah, so this is what Sony was arguing in their motion to dismiss. And, I don't mind talking about this stuff anymore because the case is full on in. We're waiting our court date. I seriously doubt that it's going to get thrown out at this point. They've tried two types of motion to dismiss, but I don't think it's going to go anywhere. They don't really have a leg to stand on when it comes to this stuff. They really don't. So, they'd have to be on drugs to do this and go before a judge. But if they want to, that's what we're doing. So they argued that remixes, even if I got the album back, so I want you to pay attention to this because it's important. Even if I got the album back, the remixes, they argued, were considered the lion's share of the actual, let's call it the grant. And they argued that they should be able to make derivatives as much as they want and make remixes as many as they want because the voice is a trivial part of the remixes and it's all the instrumentation that matters. So their argument was that if they could make different arrangements of the remixes, they should be able to put them out as much as they want because my voice is, such a small part. So my argument was, well, if that's the case, then I should be able to strip the vocals out and do my own arrangements and use the recorded vocals with no trouble at all. Because if it's such an insignificant thing and nobody cares about the vocal, then I should be able to strip the vocals off the entire album and be able to re-record versions of the songs with the old vocals. Now, they didn't like that because they're like, no, that's part of the recording. You can't. So the whole argument that they're making is you can't have the remixes because we can make as many as we want and your voice doesn't matter. But you also can't make remixes using your voice because then it's too much of what the recording was. So obviously the voice is a very important aspect. And why is that? Because with the voice, you can then use any instrument, any AI to create song beds around that voice. And you could release all sorts of versions of Living in Oblivion ad nauseum for life. And you would be able to do this anytime that I release something. So like, let's say that I had a new album coming out and I was like, oh, I'm going to push this single. They could suddenly push out a new version of Kiss of Love with my vocals on it just because they can. And they would do this, of course, to fudge with the numbers for me because that would hurt me. So I find it interesting that these big companies want to be able to do this. Not just to me, but I saw this also in a very similar case that's going through the courts, which I'm sure you guys have heard of this, because while you might be out there listening going, who is Anything Box? I just tuned in. I don't even know who this guy is. You do know who Salt and Pepper is. And they're going through the same exact thing. Only for them, it's a little bit more dicey because they weren't the real controlling authors of a song. So their voices are being treated like it's just another instrument. And to me, this is going to become a crazy situation if it's not resolved in the court, meaning we need a ruling from the court to say the human voice is unique. And if you're going to produce anything that's derivative from that voice or train an AI on it, you have to have a license. You have to have the permission of the artist to do it. And you have to pay a royalty for it. Because if they don't do this, this is what the bleak future looks like. If they don't rule that the voice is the likeness and the human likeness of the artist, then a label's going to go find someone that can sing good, pull them off the street, give them a couple $1,000, record some stupid single just to get that out of the way, get it charted, drop the artist, but now they have the likeness. So now they can design other songs any way they like with any writers they like. And now they have the guy's voice. And if the likeness extends, and I know this sounds like hyperbole here, but if that likeness extends to the visual of the person, then what is that human artist going to get? Like you already are taking music that was stolen from other people. And this is not sampling, by the way. Way different. You're stealing music that was already recorded by other people. You're stealing a human voice that was already a person, and now their face. So what do you think is going to happen if we keep allowing that to continue? So, number one, I think we need to take it back. I liked it better. I mean, I'll go on record on saying this. I like it better. I would prefer that people just download my MP3s and keep them on their hard drives or burn CDs. I would prefer it because at least I know that the people who are downloading it and enjoying it are doing it because they love it, not because it just happened to be on Spotify and Spotify has some split stem thing that allows them to make derivatives and all this crap. So excuse me for wanting to be individual here, but because I know this is such a terrible thing to want right now, individualism. But honestly, it's my right. These copyrights all the copyright laws were written to protect the author. They weren't written to protect corporations. They were written to protect authors. That's why we have what is known as a Section 203 termination. This is so you can get your stuff back after 35 years of someone just letting it sit there. And by the way, I'm going to bring this up because I'm here and I'm ranting about it. Sony. Sony. So, you guys realize that aside from me, on occasion, playing some of the remixes from the Peace album, and it doesn't matter whether I like them or not, but the Living in Oblivion mix, for example, the extended version, the club mix, that hasn't been in print since 1990, meaning that when it went out of print in 1990, they never repressed it. So that is sat on a shelf for 35 years. All the Jubilation remixes have sat on shelves for 35 years. The Our Dreams, Edit the Dream, has sat on a shelf for 35 years. Soul on Fire, the extended edit that I have, because they don't even have it, I have it, has sat unreleased for 35 years. 35 years. So they want to keep it to just keep it buried, essentially, because it's not like they're monetizing it. Because one thing would be if, okay, let's say that they had done this. They talked to me and they said, we're going to reprint all of these things on 12 inches and you guys can do the cover art. You can do all this cool stuff. You can do this. That would be one thing. And then I would have no argument. I would say, well, I can't argue with that. They put this stuff out. They've been paying me. They've been sending statements. Things have been going the way they're supposed to go. So I really, I guess they could keep them. That would be kind of an argument. But they didn't exploit them for 35 years. For 35 years, they just let them sit on a shelf. And that is exactly why we have what is known as a Section 203 termination. It's so that an author 35 years later can say, you know what? You had your chance with this stuff. I granted it to you. I hope that you were going to make money for me too. But instead, you put it out for as long as you did. You got to exploit it the way you wanted to exploit it. And then what? Nothing. So Here's your notice. Thank you very much. This master is mine. Goodbye. Go away. Don't bother me anymore. That's why it was written. It was written to protect the authors. So, you know, it's a subject that makes me a little bit mad. And of course, when I see Spotify trying to do this BS move, trying to say that, oh, it's not for that. When you say sub-licensable and transferable without any compensation, you're not talking about users and just users making playlists. That is not true. And I'll go further. It could be even weirder. It could be that they might do that because it says distribute and it doesn't say within the Spotify app. Because if it said only within the Spotify app, then I could see what that means. But we'll get back to that. Let's play a song. Let me know when I talk too much. All right? Play a song over visuals. Yeah, sure. This is called, I'll tell you when I come back. This is The Martyr. First rehearsal, but soon to be part of 19 in the US. We're back. We're back. So I want to clear up something about the Spotify thing. And I know I said it last week, so I want to bring it up this time. And I'm going to set a timer this time so I can kind of monitor how much I'm talking. Because I don't want it to be just talk. I want you to hear the music stuff too. So that was The Martyr. That was from 1988. A direct rehearsal, straight to tape. And that will be on 19, the US version on CD. And that's going to come out either mid-December, can't say, mid-December or 2026. It depends on how far along I get. But yeah, it was 19 and Universe were released earlier this year in South America, which was the idea for doing that was to get some more of the international peeps on board, especially in South America, with some of the older things. And they had wanted this. So actually, I should clarify, it was Other Verses, the new album, the newer album, Universe, and 19. And those came out in Argentina. But people were asking me, hey, can I buy them here? And I'm like, no, because it's an Argentine thing. So it's coming here. So I'm going to have 19 available in the USA. A little different. Same audio because it's really good. But extra tracks, a slightly different art. Slightly different. And so The Martyr is on that. And so that's coming. And then the other thing I wanted to do was sort of release these. I kind of want to, I don't want to call them CD singles because that's not what they are. It's this whole idea of doing art pieces that are NFTs that also have a physical counterpart. So it'd be like a CD with art on both sides, kind of like the Hope Worth thing, but then also an NFT and also like, other stuff. So that's coming and I'm going to play some of that now. And so this leads me to this next part of the discussion, which is why I'm so adamant about what you should do if you're a creator. So I'm going to say this now so that you kind of get it in your head. And if you're taking notes for someone else, these next 4 minutes are going to be the most important ones. So if you are a songwriter, if you are the person that writes the material for your band, this is not a slight on your bandmates. I'm not trying to say that there's going to be trouble down the road, because maybe there won't be. But just in case there ever is a reason for there to be trouble, make sure, and I'm going to say this as many times as it takes, make absolutely certain that you are the controlling party. 51%. You can do 51-49 if you want to split it half and half, because that 1% is going to matter. You need to be the controlling party because you need to be the one that settles the Section 203s. You need to be the one that 35 years later, if there's a grant that needs to be terminated, you don't need anyone's permission to do it. It has to be you and you alone. And as long as you're 51%, you don't need anyone else's input. And if it's 3 people, because that did happen with us too, make sure that you are 51%. The others can split it half and half. You got to settle it somehow. But if you are the songwriter and you're the main songwriter, or this is, quote, your band, make sure that you are always the controlling author. I cannot stress this enough. Because it's harder to prove in the long run when people come out of the woodworks and start saying, no, I wrote more than half of that song. Now, this didn't happen to me, thank God. And there's a reason why it didn't happen. And it's because good paper, remember this, good paper makes great friends. When you have good paper between you and your bandmates, it may seem awkward to have contracts between you, but it's really important because if you don't do it, you're going to run into trouble. And, you know, it's a fact. So let me give you an example. So right off the top of my head, because there's a lot of them and not all of them are, 70% of Peace was written by me, 100%, meaning that I wrote the whole song, like Living in Oblivion, 100%, all that stuff. But there are certain ones like Jubilation, for example, I hold 50%, Paul holds 40, Danya holds 10. We signed an agreement, which is known as song participation agreements, that basically said what those percentages were. And that's important because later on, if I wanted to get a Section 203 sent off, I would have to say I'm the controlling author. And I am because I hold 50, the other person holds 40, and the other person holds 10. So that puts me in the spot to be able to say that. That still means I have to send them notices and saying, hey, I'm sending this person this notice. Be that as it may, you still have to make sure that everyone's served, which of course I did. But if you don't do that and you do everything, quote, 50-50, now you have to ask permission of the second person. And if that person decides, no, I don't want to, now you have a problem because who's the controlling party if it's a 50-50 deal? This becomes a problem later. So I want you to think about it. And when you're writing a song and you're collaborating, think in terms of who is the main songwriter here. It's not to like, quote, do divisionism on a band. It's important. So for example, if you have a band and all of you are writing and it's all around, someone should be the controlling author. Probably the person who started the band, probably the person who owns the band, or probably the person who had the idea. Yeah, exactly. John M. says, isn't Daryl Hall and John Oates in court for something like this? Exactly. So what's going on with them? Well, I don't know the exact details, but one of them wants to sell the rights to somebody for money because they can and make a lot of money from it. And the other one's like, nope. So it's basically like holding the catalog hostage. On the one hand, it's only a 50% thing that would be sold. But see, because it's 50-50, one can control that deal. And suppose that they hate each other now, right? And that's a terrible thing, but suppose it's true. They hate each other. So wouldn't one want to stick it to the other just because they can? So that's a big deal. Miracle of miracles. And like I said, I have no problem with my bandmates. Nothing to do with them. So this has nothing to do with them. But to give you an example, Lady in Waiting is Paul's song. It's 100% his song. He didn't give any rights to anyone. He never granted any rights. So let me back that up. He didn't need my permission to grant it if he wanted to or take it back if he didn't want to. He didn't have to because it was his song. I urged him to do it because I thought, well, it is your song. What the worst that could happen would be that if I got the entire album back minus your song, so that now your song can't be on the album because they keep it. So you should terminate your side just so that you have that song out of the way. But I didn't need permission for the other tracks because honestly, I was the controlling author, so I didn't need to. But I did send them, serve them all the notices so that they would be on the up and up because that's important. You have to do that. So it seems trivial to think about it when you're starting a band. Oh, like, how are we going to do this? But you know what? to be honest, I've seen this happen way too many times. But anyway, let's play a song. Constellations.
We could see through the evolution. Would there be some kind of revolution? Constellations yield the storage of everything we took for ordinary. Then one day it all comes down. Then one day it all turns around. We are blind, we are weak, we are hopeless, we are made, we are young and so free. You won't bring us to our we could seek inner resolutions. Would there be some kind of disillusion? The constellations to the torments over things that make you ordinary. Then one day it all comes down. Then one day I'll find a smile. We are weak, we are hopeless, we are made, we are young and so free. You won't bring us to our
So, wow, switched to black and white on this one. Okay, this deserves a drink. So yeah, I was in the chat saying this. I think I've told this story before, but if not, I'm repeating it because this has to do with the way things work with Section 203s and all that stuff. So back in 1990, if you're familiar with Peace and its singles, the Peace cover art is my painting, and they bought it from me. They wanted to purchase it because I just wanted them to use it, but I didn't want them to keep it. But they said that no, we have to buy it from you because for legal purposes we need to keep it. So we'll let you exhibit it and all that, but we have to buy it from you. Okay, how much are you going to give me for it? We figured $2,600 or something like that. I was happy. I was like, oh, cool. I sold the painting. So painting was sold. They photographed it, blah, blah, blah. Album comes out. Years later, the A&R person who was the A&R guy for us when we were on Sony said, they lost that painting. I'm like, what do you mean they lost it? He's like, they lost it. He goes, no one knows where it is. I'm like, well, that sucks. So what's going to happen when it gets repressed or it gets re-released? He goes, oh, don't worry. We have good photos of it, of course. They didn't. They didn't think to keep anything. So the vinyl that was out in 2018, 2019, that version of Peace that came out, which, by the way, I had nothing to do with, that version of Peace, the painting was sourced from a long box from a CD. So it was scanned off of a CD, which is pretty bad. And the audio, to me, sounded a little strange. And I guess it was sourced from another record, which is something else I found out from someone inside Sony. Someone inside told me this, which is funny because I have friends there still. So it's interesting that some people are willing to talk, but not on record, right? But anyway, yeah, I was told that the record was sourced from another record, so they basically had no master. And I'm like, well, what happened to the masters? So that was pretty crazy too. So I am lucky that I kept a really good one generation copy of Peace all this time. And my version, the version I had, was so good compared to what they released. So that was already a big deal. So thank God I have that. So I have it. So I'm okay. But it sucks that the reels were destroyed. I mean, that's pretty bad, right? So it sucks that the reels were destroyed, and there's nothing I can do about it. So the other thing was that then the painting was discovered and someone sent it to me. I don't want to name names because I don't want to implicate anyone in anything, but the painting was sent back to me and it was in very bad shape. They had found it in a box. They didn't even know they had it. They found it. They sent it to me. I have it, but it's in really bad shape. So the argument that is made, and I've heard this from other lawyers, by the way, because they have said this to me. They're like, well, you see, they bought it outright, so they could do whatever they want with it. The argument is, because they paid for it in cash, meaning that they paid me for it, they could tear it up in front of you, Claude. They could just go in front of the judge and say, we own this. We can do whatever we want with it. And that's true. That's absolutely 100% true. They could do this. However, they can't do that to the works that were recorded and granted to them, such as the remixes that they let sit on a shelf for 35 years, and of course the album. So for me, my argument is, since I see the way they treated my work that they bought outright, what hope do I have as the artist that they're going to take care of this stuff if they keep it? Like, what do I think is going to happen to the Peace album or any of those remixes? Really, I know what's going to happen. They're just going to make derivatives. They're going to sell it to sell drugs, sell it to commercials. It'll appear in places that I would not, because I am not like other artists. I don't want my stuff on. I don't care if someone turns around and says, I'll give you $20 million to put Living in Oblivion in this diaper ad. I won't do it. I would rather die poor. I will not do that. So to try to watch them try to weasel that out so that they can keep it, just so that they can probably do that, is abhorrent to me. It's everything I'm against. So seeing how they treated my physical artwork doesn't give me any hope that they would do the right thing with Peace. So therefore, no, you cannot have it. I don't want you to have it. It's my right to get it back. I'm going to get it back. So again, this goes back to this situation with Spotify. by the language that they're using, everyone who puts stuff on there is going to have to go through this crap. And I have to ask this question. Is it worth it for an artist to just put stuff up on Spotify just for the airplay and attention, which is good, but is that enough? Like, is that a really good reason? I mean, where are we headed with this? So to me, the only solution that I can see is to go backwards, release physical stuff, start doing things with your fans, start doing shows. Let's go back to human interaction. And I really feel that, shows are the big deal, because if we don't do that, all that's going to happen is we're just going to have slop everywhere and music's not going to mean anything. And I, for one, am one of those people that loves to put on a CD in the car or off my phone in the car and drive and listen to music and, just sit there while I'm driving and absorb the album, or park the car somewhere near a nice park or like a beach or something and just sit back and listen. I'm one of those people. I'm a speakerhead. I like to lay down on the floor and have the two speakers aimed at me and listen to real music. I don't care that it's made with electronics. In fact, I wouldn't even care if it was made with AI if it was good, meaning the instruments and all that. But this idea that everything is just, pasteurized and lobotomized to the point where we can't recognize what's human is really bugging me. And the fact that these corporations are pivoting in that direction so that they can keep it is definitely one of those things, right? So anyway, let's play a song. So in one of those art pieces things that I want to release, it's going to be probably a single from the album. It'll probably be, should I say? Yeah. It'll be a song from the album. And then on that CD and that CD only will be a couple of songs that were recorded that are more in their demo forms. And this is one of them. This is called Diamond. And pretty good recording for what it is. But it is what it is. It is what it is, mate.
Polished purity never fades away from light. Unlike a soul,
We've done pretty good, huh? I mean, maybe I shouldn't open my mouth. It's 9:31, and we made it this far, which is good. Interweb seems strong. Everything seems okay. So, bonus. So anyway, look, I didn't want this to be like a negative thing because I don't want you to feel like it's negative. In fact, it's the opposite. I keep thinking we're in a really good time because all the methods that you could need to promote music and to make music are here. I mean, getting in used to be so difficult. Like, I mean, very few artists coming up. And look, I'll say it like this: the Gen Zers. Okay, if you're Gen Z and you're listening to this, pay attention. Please put your phone down. Pay attention, or don't put your phone down because then you can't see it. But you know what I'm saying. Pay attention. Understand something. Back in the 80s, you couldn't get on the radio. You couldn't get on the radio unless you were on a major label. That's pretty much how it worked. You could get on a college station, but that just meant the college students were listening to you and not much other. It wasn't an audience that you could even like quantify. You wouldn't know who was listening. You couldn't know anything about them. You couldn't really know that what you were doing was good. You might, like, at best, you would get maybe a phone call from the college station saying, hey, and this happened to us, this particular song seems to be getting a lot of calls. And that's the only clue you'll have that you had a single on your hands. But that's if you got a phone call. 99% of the time, you sent the song in and you tuned in every night hoping that they'd play it. And you could wait a month and not hear anything. When it came to shows, we had to print flyers and go out and pass them out on record stores and hope that people would tell other people to come see you. There was no social media. There was no YouTube. There was no streaming. There was nothing like this. We didn't have handheld phones. So we couldn't even do that. Like, you wouldn't like be calling people saying, hey, I got a show on Friday. Like, even that was not even something that was even feasible. I didn't even know more than 5 people's phone numbers back then. So we didn't have all the tools. And when it came to making the music, I made electronic music. I still do. And I spent thousands of dollars in the beginning, which was like basically like through like hard frickin' labor and long nights to learn this stuff. There was no, oh, there's a free VST that does a Moog sound pretty good. Oh, there's a free DAW. Oh, there's free ways to make videos. You know, like all this stuff didn't exist, but it exists now. And that's a good thing. Those are the good parts of all this discussion. These things exist. And I'll go further to say, if you're Gen Z and you're listening, you missed out on one of the best eras of all, which was the era of the recordable CDs, because we didn't have to hope or beg that Spotify would keep this song on, and if it didn't get 1,000 plays, you know, you couldn't sell it or you couldn't do something. No, we could take compilations of stuff, put it together on our own CDs, and still share them with friends. So just like cassettes, we would pass around CDs. And yes, even though I was an old man by then, I was doing that. I was making mix CDs and giving them out to friends. I'm like, these are the new songs I just heard. Here you go. And they'd pop them in their CD player and listen to them. Yeah, just like making tapes, but better, longer, more resilient, you know? And they were easy to rip. So if I wanted to put them in my computer, I would pop the CD in and say, give me these songs, put them in a folder. And that's basically how I made my entire CD collection. Like, I still have most of it. I have like, I don't know. I probably have like 30,000 songs now. They're all sitting on my hard drive, and I can make a CD of it anytime I want because I still have a CD burner, believe it or not. So if I still wanted to have it on a CD, I can put it on a CD, or I can take those wonderful 24-bit files and just drag them over to my phone, which nobody can do anything about except me. and drive around with them. And believe it or not, there's something awesome about owning something. Even if you got it by dubious means. And what I mean by that is, even if there was an MP3 that I got that wasn't on the up and up and it was from the high seas, I still treasured it because it's mine now. It's sitting on my hard drive. I could do what I want with it. I hated when Peace got taken down in the US, and then suddenly everyone was emailing me like, hey, it's gone from my collection. It's even worse for the people that were on Apple who actually paid for it and then it's gone, because that's terrible. And it sucks because it quite literally is the right thing for that to happen now, and I feel bad about it. But the reality is, this is the problem with streaming. It's the problem that we have with streaming services for movies too. Like, did you ever go on Netflix expecting to find this movie that you'd favorited and you wanted to watch it again, and it's gone? It's just gone. And now you have to do what? You have to go digging for it, like somewhere else on some other service? Or, so, I mean, look, I'm going to tell you, one of my favorite shows of all time. I love this show. I absolutely love it. I love the old Kung Fu, all of it. I love that show. It's such a great show. So I found it on DVD. I bought the entire box set and I kept it so that whenever I feel like watching Kung Fu, I can watch it. Whenever I feel like watching whatever episode I want to watch, I watch it. If I want to take some of those episodes with me on a plane and decide that I want to watch Kung Fu on a plane, I can rip it. I like owning my stuff. I don't mind buying stuff from artists because I do it all the time, but I love having it so that it's mine. And nothing pleases me more than to have a CD somewhere that I can pull out if for whatever reason I didn't rip it. So 9 out of 10 times I buy a CD, I rip it, it goes into the computer, goes into my phone, and now I have a permanent thing. And the CD goes into my nice collection, and sometimes I like to take it out and look at it while I'm listening. I know that makes me feel old. It's why I make books. But this is life. If we keep going down this streaming path, artists are going to truly, truly die. They're going to die out. Maybe not the ones and I'm not saying this to brag or anything. Maybe not like the ones like me where I have a career that I can kind of keep going. But for the ones who are still in their rooms trying to get out, man, those are going to be the ones that suffer the most. And I feel bad for them because I know that in their hearts, they just want to make music. You know what I mean? So, it's it's got to be a terrible thing to think that you're competing against these weird machines and these weird algorithms. So on that level, I don't want to participate anymore. So I am looking into the idea that maybe Spotify is not the answer. And, like I said, if you go back and listen to me talk about Spotify in the past, I always thought of them as a glorified radio station, nothing more. But if a radio station is going to treat me bad, I'd rather not have my stuff on it. That's the way I think about it. So I'll look at the other services and see, because I'm not going to remove it from all of them. But I have a feeling that if they keep going down this weird train AI path, I'll have to take my entire catalog off. And I know I'm not the only one. I know there's other people doing the same. And believe me, it's not something that all artists are like, oh man, I really want to lose another area of income, even though, like I said, it doesn't pay my rent. So, but I digress. And that, my kitties, is pretty much tonight. That ends the whole Spotify thing once and for all. So I don't know what's going to happen. And I especially don't know because of, Yes, this case, because if I get peace back, well, I shouldn't say if, when I get peace back, I don't want there to be any loopholes that they can try to exploit to grab it again. So, it goes back to the first question all of you asked me when we first started the stream. Will there be vinyl and all that? And my answer is when I get it back, yeah, probably. I'll work on those two hurdles that I have to face. Distribution, which is still difficult in the physical world, and the capital. I'll work on it because that is something I care about. But we're not doing so bad, are we? I mean, we're not, right? I mean, I've been okay. So the only thing I can say is please, 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 please go support your artists at shows. That's probably the most important thing you could do. Go see bands. Because if you do and you support the bands you love, that's going to make more sense in the long run for them than it is to worry about how many Spotify plays they have. Who cares? Like, I honestly don't even care anymore. I care more that people show up to a gig and we have an experience. To me, that's more valuable. But that's just what I think. Tell me what you think. I know everyone says that and then in a video, and that's supposed to be like the subscribe and all that stuff. And I don't do that because I'm not a YouTuber and I don't want to be one. So excuse my horrible, just me being me. But honestly, tell me what you think. I want to know what you think about this, especially the artists. I want to know what you're doing. Like, what is your plan going into 2026 with AI looming in every single platform? Like, what's your game plan? Because now is the time to share the good ideas for getting our stuff out. Because maybe we're going to come up with a solution that's so much better than that crap. So, let's play a song. Someone had requested this last week. This is the demo of Soldier and Child. Of all things. Drone cam. Whoops, maybe not. It's the album version. had to get, oops. Dead air, dead air. Oh, that was funny. That was funny, it was. The dead air. So, yeah, that's a funny thing. I'm not going to say it. I put it in the chat, but I'm not going to say it because I don't want to jinx things. But yes, they kind of forgot to do something, and that's a good thing. So that's settled now. No hope on that side, but for them. So that's a good thing. And remember how, like, for years I was all worried about that? So, yeah, so it's all that stuff, right? But anyway, so peace is the only one I have to worry about. Once it's back in my hands, the entire catalog from all different sources is back in my hands, and I can just breathe a sigh of relief that the catalog is intact, as it should be. And then I get to work on a new album too. Because I'm starting to get the itch to work on a new album, which is weird. I'm actually in that sound design stage, which is awesome. And, I think 2026 will be a pretty good year, Abox wise. I have a feeling that it's going to be a really, really good year. So I've got a lot of plans. I was just looking at some, like, over all my projects, because I know that people can come out of the woodwork and say, you forgot about this, you forgot. Believe me, I have a list. And I'm back on that list because now the case is on its merry way, doing its thing, so I don't have to put as much manual hours into it as I have been, which is a good thing. So I'm quite happy with that. But, Todd says, I may be missing a couple of Anything Box physical items, but I've picked up things I was missing in the past few years since I have been able to. Todd, make sure you look at Bandcamp this weekend because there's some stuff there that you might want to look at. That's all I'm saying is I'm not allowed to say more because otherwise people will get really mad. But I just did inventory of the last things. And by the way, the red 12-inch is sold out. It's like completely sold out as of today. I looked, there was 6 copies left and I mentioned it and they're gone. Like, it's gone. So that's what limited edition means when it comes to that stuff. So make sure you look into Bandcamp. So I'm going to play one. No, maybe I'll have time for 2. We'll see. So I'm gonna play one that was for Lalo, who's not joined us this week, but he asked for this song last week. Yeah, they did. They sold today. I thought we were sold out. I did a quick inventory, posted it on Bandcamp that said, oh, I found 6 more copies. They're all signed. Just make sure that, first come, first serve, because I can't hold them. And they're gone. They're sold. So, yep. And I'm going to tell you something funny about one of those copies. One of them was really funny because it had 2 records in it. For whatever reason, when they packed it, there was literally 2 records inside one sleeve. And I thought that was funny. So I signed that one duet, which I thought was funny. So someone's going to get 2 copies of, and I don't know who and what, but don't ask because I won't know. But one of them. I know. You know what's funny though? Vinyl doesn't, it's not that vinyl sells fast. It doesn't. Because it took time. Like I said, man, TMT, it's like packing them. You'll see. Packing them is you don't even want to know how bad it is to pack them. And the worst part is having them come back. Because every time they come back, for whatever reason, they're damaged. You have to throw them away. So I can honestly say I probably threw out 50 copies of the vinyl. Isn't that sad? 50 that were in terrible shape right off the bat. So it's an issue. So unless you're sending 50 in a box to a distributor and they're going to put them on shelves, shipping them one by one, especially international, it's even worse. I saw one that came back from Germany. I should show you what it looks like. It looks atrocious. It looked like the postage people in the US and in Germany read the sign, the little stickers everywhere as "please bend this record," because it came back like discombobulated, like it'd been through hell. CDs don't tend to get messed up. And yeah, that's the other side. If you leave a piece of vinyl in a box, even though it's in its box, and you leave it outside, by the time the person opens that box, if it's been heated, you have a warped record. And that sucks. Sorry, that sucks. That's one of the reasons why I don't like it. And I don't listen to it. I have a $300 turntable. It never gets turned on. So, yeah. Yeah, it doesn't, it's a bad thing. I'm not fond of it, but I do appreciate it. So obviously I want there to be vinyls because people want it, but it's going to take those two things and that's going to take time. So don't hold your breath on vinyl. I love doing books though. So books you're going to see more of. All right. And books will be fun. Wait till you have a Worth book because that's coming. Wait till the Worth book. Yeah, that's going to be fun. Anyway, let's play a song. This is for Lalo. He had asked for this, and he's not here, but he wanted it, so I'm going to play it for him. Here we go. Life is fun.
This is not a remix, more than it is a recording.
Ah, and we've come to the end once again, which is a good thing because I got to eat. I probably skipped dinner. I always skip dinner on the stream. I don't know why, but I do. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you very much for being here with me tonight. I had fun. Excuse my rants, but they come from a good place. I want to protect creators. I want people to feel empowered with their work and not have them make the same mistakes I made or be taken the way that I was taken by certain corporations. Not naming names, Sony, but you know what I mean? So I want to make sure that in the future, you guys get to enjoy the fruits of your labor, which is really important, more so now than ever before. So keep making music if you're making music, keep making art if you're making art. Remember, you got to do the work. You got to sit down and do the work. Anyway, have a fantastic evening. Have a great weekend, and I will see you next week. And I think next week we're going to talk about some weird esoteric subjects. I don't think is going to have anything to do with music or art, or maybe I'm thinking that it's going to be about dreamscapes or how dreams influence art or something of that nature, because it's been coming up lately. My dreams are getting interesting. And anyway, I will see you next week. Enjoy yourselves. Be good to one another. Be extra nice. I know it's hard sometimes. Even I get into it with my friends, and they know who they are. I love you, even though we may disagree on things. I love you all. Have a good night. Night.
I'm part of it. Can't you see it?
I knew I was going to type that wrong. Darn it. Darn it. One more song. Screw it.
that you're leaving. Tonight is the last time I'll see your face again. Does it have to end this way? Does it have to end this way? For you and me tonight. Is there someone you must see, or am I blind? You can bring me anything you want to hear me say, but always now your dream, your life away. You should know what it's like to be inside my heart without you. If you run from me, I've heard this once before in my dreams. I've heard this once before in my dreams. I've heard this once before. Live a lonely life. See yourself decide. The future will pass you by. You don't have to smile as you walk away. The train is waiting for you in the rain. Oh, the train will wait for you in the rain.
I'm part of it. Can't you see it?